Okay, the first order of business is, I'd like to seal the non-public minutes, so Dennis, I entertain a motion.
I'll motion that we seal the non-public minutes of this date.
Second?
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
There we go.
Okay. All right, so, in your packet, you got your minutes. Do you have any issues with that? Because, if not, we'll, approve those minutes and I'll give a signed copy to Will.
Motion to accept as presented.
All second?
All in favor? Aye. You can pass this to Will, please. Oh, I need the agenda on the top. Just give me the top page. Thank you, all right. Okay. Okay, Department Chief, you're up.
In September, we had 833 calls to service. In October, we had 751. I believe we had 5 burglaries in that time, 3 of which were solved. And so far this year, we've had 2 motor vehicle fatalities. They were both pedestrian fatalities. And I believe we didn't have any fatalities at all last year. But other than that, everything is status quo, and everybody's doing a good job. We have a few more DWI patrols we have to do for the holiday season, but other than that, things are running smoothly.
Any questions for the Chief?
Any feeling on the pedestrian fatalities, why we're seeing more? It isn't just here, it seems like we're seeing them more everywhere. It seems like there's been a lot lately in the news too.
There was one today.
Yeah?
Yeah,
Is
that's
that the
right.
one walking in the middle of the highway?
Yeah, one on the highway.
That would change my head.
Could be more visibility and people should stay off the road.
Dark clothing at night.
You know? I'm sure everybody's had an experience at one time or another, almost being a pedestrian.
Yeah, it just seems we're hearing so much more lately. Okay.
All right. Any other questions for the Chief? No? Okay. All right, Lieutenant, you're up.
Yeah, some of the similar stuff. The chief talked about the burglaries. We had a little spurt of burglaries this September to October, but we kind of got chipped into good work. Had a pretty good break in the case where somebody had stolen a check from a house and cashed it somewhere at the store, and then we were able to track that guy. He actually wasn't the guy who broke in the house, but once he got picked up for the stolen check, ratted out the guys who broke in the house. So it worked out pretty good, but it took a little bit of work, and that seems to be under control now. We also had which we haven't had in a long time, we had a home invasion last month where a town person broke into someone's home. Did some good police work by Kevin Cashman, and was able to apprehend the guy leaving the scene of the house. And turns out we're probably gonna arrest people in the house as well, because he wasn't there just to steal regular property. So, yeah, so that worked out very well, and it's a good job by the patrol guys. They did an excellent job. It could have gotten pretty dangerous. The guy had a firearm on him and stuff, and it worked out very well. The officers did an excellent job.
Nice to hear that.
Chris Foley. Chris, good job. Good job, Chris.
Good job, Chris.
Yeah. So on the community stuff, we had a ton of stuff going on in the last 2 months, and stuff coming up. This is like our big community involvement time of the year. With the holidays, we had the trunk or treat thing, which went very well at the safety center, and we once again gave out French fries, which was awesome. Chris helped with that too. Kevin.
Did you do the sampling, Chris?
Yeah. That went pretty well. Melissa's got her giving tree thing going, which is the community's already been awesome. We've had like 300 people, 300 tags given out or something so far for gifts for needy families and stuff. It's really working out pretty good. She's also trying a new thing, which is a fundraiser for the Liberty House, which should fill a cruiser with donated goods for veterans in need, like winter clothing and stuff like that. And we got that for Goffstown, is trying to do it, kind of like a challenge thing they throw out to police departments. So we got that going on. And the best one of all is the possible Santa parade.
Chris.
We have a volunteer.
We have a volunteer. Hi, Santa.
That's still in the planning stages. Some other towns do it where, the fire department, police department drive around the town with some Santa, and they play some Christmas music and get the kids all into it. So that looks like that's gonna happen, if we can get someone to fit into the suit.
And we need 8 tiny Clydesdales.
Yeah, yeah. So that's what's going on with the community relations stuff, which has really been pretty, like, a really good time of year for us for that stuff. We also did meet with the selectmen and the budget committee. Some of the stuff we'll be talking about later on in the thing, but it went in kind of way better than we expected. And part of it is, I will thank the police commission. You're overly being critical of us, made us look through all the numbers and come up with all our stuff. And we were able to convince everybody that we need 2 police cars and we need computers in the cars, and both the selectmen and the budget committee, which is the first time I can remember the budget committee voted unanimously for everything for our budget, which was a surprise, even Alan Villeneuve, which was surprising. But it went very well. And it was because we were able to get a bunch of information together and really get the facts out there ahead of time and kind of answer questions that they had. So it went pretty well, and I think we'll, and that's about it. We'll come up with some, we have some.
I got a question for you.
Sure.
Actually, for Bill Herman. So you had mentioned at our budget committee meeting that the selectmen hadn't made an official vote on our behalf. Where are we at with that? When we go back to see them on that open line that we left open, is that when they're gonna approve our budget?
I assume so.
Assume, because right now,
I don't know why they didn't vote.
they didn't make a motion or they didn't vote on it, so just to make sure. And the budget committee was all set except the open line, which is the computer line. So, okay, it's just a question that we'll have to pursue. Actually, we have a meeting Monday, right? This coming Monday, the governing board?
Yes.
Okay, that, what is it,
Well,
6?
Well, you got one at 5:30 and one at 6.
5:30, oh yeah, one was for the union and
Yes.
the other one is, okay. All right, great, so you've got that 5:30, and then 6, and are you gonna be able to?
No, I can't make it on.
Okay.
Mondays are out for me.
Yeah, he knows what's on it, he was there.
Yeah, he negotiated it, so they'll be fine. Okay, any questions for
And
the
I'll send you
lieutenant?
guys a note on it.
Any questions for the lieutenant?
No.
Okay. Moving on, neighborhood watch, I don't see him here.
I can talk about it a little bit.
Oh, go right ahead.
They called, but they couldn't come today. Steve rang.
Okay, yeah.
Couldn't make it. We helped the neighborhood watch do some sign-up stuff at the polling, which was pretty tough with the whole, the way the place was set up. That actually went, again, better than I expected, with people coming in and out and voting. But they got 14 new members to sign up at the polls.
That's a high number.
Yeah, and that was about their biggest thing for the month. We have put a lot of information out to them this month, when we had the whole burglary thing going. We kept, trying to keep them informed and ahead of the curve on the
Yeah.
stuff. And been going pretty good with that.
That's great.
The burglaries, any common area, or would they spread out? Or?
Nope, they just get off the highway and find a house that's right there. And sometimes, although they wouldn't range one way out to Pingree Hill, which is kind of,
So it wasn't.
yeah, I think the same people did all 4. We were able to definitively prove 2, but they probably did all 4.
Do we ever get any press that it ever shows up that they're
Once
solving
in a
them?
while, we'll put out some press release, when they have to wait to go to trial and everything else.
Alright, so by the time anything comes up, they're
Yeah.
so old that
Yeah.
no one associates them.
No.
Okay. So it doesn't act as a deterrent to anyone.
I can't say.
Yeah.
Okay, any other questions for him? All right, under old business, we're gonna, talk about the cruises. Now, the selectmen, like I said, didn't vote, but it looked like they were in favor of it, and the budget committee did vote for it. We wanted to leave it, for discussion, and before we start any of these discussions, I need to ask, probably the lieutenant, have you guys looked at what you think our overage, what's a safe overage amount in our budget for this year?
Well, just looking at the part-time line is where our most money is left in there, and that's again because we're able to get that full-time officer on quickly.
Yep.
And that alone will have probably 34,000, but I think we're gonna be over a little bit, like on the cruisers, we're over 1,000, 900. So I'm guessing around $30,000 roughly, that's a rough estimate. It could be a little bit less than that, but I doubt it.
But the overage doesn't affect us on the cruises.
No,
No,
but it will, and it's all gonna come into play here, so I just wanna make sure. So do you think, actually, this would be a question for the chief, since it's your budget. Was it $5,500 a laptop, about, for the tough books? So, you think we could buy 4 laptops with extra money?
I'd have to run that by the Board of Selectmen, and the final say on the budget. We want to make sure that
Well, they gave us an indication that they would not be opposed to that, and they wanted us to go back to them and report and say, hey, we're comfortable, we can get 3 or 4, and they wanted to get that information from us.
I
when we
will
meet
go
with them.
before them and ask them for that.
Okay, all right, okay. So let's, okay, so with that in mind then, we're gonna go and talk about the cruisers. I'm in favor of the way it was presented, if, you know, like I say, the selectmen look like they're gonna approve it, and the budget committee went for it. I think the presentation they made at the meeting was sufficient, and I'd like to keep it the way it is, and open the floor for you two.
I'm still questioning it, but again, the staff did a great job on presenting information to us, which I really appreciated. The fact that the Board of Selectmen and the Budget Committee seem to have no issue with it, would lead me to believe that we're fine for this year, and maybe we'll address it again. I'm not saying that we need to go to just purchasing one. I just wonder if we should be a 2 and a 1, or a 2 and a 1. So we'll just keep an eye on the mileage and see what we end up with for an average, and go with that, because like you say, it was pretty remarkable that everyone was, and I hate to be the one that says let's not, after we've got everyone already saying yes.
So this is one of the items we had told the budget committee that we were gonna consider, but they
We
did
had them
approve it.
approved,
They did
they
approve
approved
it.
2,
So-
we had them approved
Yeah.
the 2, which they were happy to
Yeah.
do, so let's leave it that way.
Yeah,
Are you in favor of that?
Yeah, our meeting, we screwed up with our meeting,
Okay.
so, you know.
All right, so we're gonna, we don't have to make a motion, it's already been approved by the budget committee.
The only
So,
thing we were gonna do was look at if we were gonna change it to 1, and I would not recommend it, but.
so that's good. So, under new business, we have an employee evaluation, which would be, you have it in your hand, if you could, work on that, I appreciate it.
Well, let's do purchase of computers, because that's a budget line, which we just talked a little
Okay,
bit
let's
about.
talk
I
about
just
it,
wrote-
okay.
And-
So,
and-
we'll talk about that.
And that was the line that I had added to.
Yes, so,
And then we
I'll
went-
explain it to everybody. Yeah, their police department came with us and they said they wanted about 23,000. Now, this is just rounded off figures, so 23,000 and a little bit of change. And it had 2 other expenses, one for 7,800, under 8,000, and that was for 9 computers at the safety complex at the police station, because they're all on outdated Windows 7, that's not gonna be supported. So they have to buy 9 new computers, so that comes to like 7,800. So they were coming to us for 23,000. Dennis made a motion, let's make it 30, and let's get that done this year with the 7. So
No.
he did 30.
No, I increased it to 30, saying we shouldn't be budgeting next year's budget predicated on what we finished this year was. So I increased it, as if we weren't gonna get it.
Okay.
Okay, then you people dropped it back down, I believe, in the final budget to what it was, correct? Which was
We talked-
27,
We talked to the selectmen,
yes,
and they said that they
Get it this
definitely
year.
recommend to buy it this year if you have funds over, and that's when we together agreed to lower.
so what we ended up doing was rebudgeting that, the lower number.
7,000.
And we're proposing to take it out of the surplus funds from this year's budget, which, you know, again, I had a little bit of a problem with that.
Well, hold on now.
But if the selectmen are in favor of it,
Right.
I don't have an issue
Oh,
with it, because
but
they
yeah.
understand.
We disagree on one point. He made a motion for 30,000,
Right,
and it passed.
right.
And the selectmen are ready to approve it, and the budget committee approved it.
Right.
And we told them,
But
no, we didn't, we told them that was open, right, okay.
Okay.
Now, 30,000, that was 23 they asked for.
Right.
And we were gonna do the 9 computers out of the new budget,
Right,
not out of the old funds left over.
Right.
Out of the old funds left over, we were looking, because we gotta replace all the tough books, the computers that are in the cruisers, there's 8 of them. They're about $5,400 a piece installed with all the goodies and all the hardware. So, we said, oh, we're gonna have to look at that. They had a figure in there of about 17,000 for a couple of them, I believe
Two
you had.
was 10.
10, yeah, yeah,
It was
so
7 for
we
the
were
other.
gonna do that, and so here we are, we're at 30,000, the 23 you asked for, and you could do the other computers out of the new budget. Now, what we talked about, and I thought it was, if we have money left over, and I was thinking 20,000 is a figure I've had in my head for a while, we could authorize them, and the selectmen were for it. If we have the money, get 4 laptops out of the over budget that we have this year, and then worry about the 4 next year. And that's,
So what does that leave our what does the computer line become?
the computer line becomes 30,000, the 23 they asked for, and the 7, which should really be like 8, but we're shortcutting them on that. If they wanted to do the 9 computers at the police station, that would be all new computers, that's about under 8 grand. That's why we boosted it to 30. So if we leave it at the 30 and go to the budget committee and say we want 30, it's gonna replace all those computers with next year's budget. Under this year's budget, it's looking like we might have a $32,000 overage. If we do, and it's always up to the chief, because he cannot go over his budget, is next on the chopping block if he does, then it'll be up to him, and we should have a better focus on that in a few weeks, and that's about the end of the year figures. And if we could buy 3 or 4 laptops, that would only leave 4 more for next year, and at least we could get half of them done. Now, do you kind of agree with that outline?
No.
No? Okay.
Well, because what did we save then? I thought that the reason we were putting more in was to be,
The 30 was to pay the 7 that they had, you know, they had those 2 figures, the smaller one and the big figure in the budget. Okay, 23 they wanted, and you made it.
so
30.
here's the point though, if
Yeah.
we're actually getting the funds that we wanted, why would we also increase the line? The reason I increased the line is so we wouldn't have to go
Well,
and double dip
Okay,
into this year's
there's 2
budget.
things of computers. There's the one for under 8,000, which is the 9 computers at the station. And the other one was 17,000, they wanted to entertain maybe getting 2 or 3 tough book laptops on the new budget. We said, we'll do your 30, 23 and 7, so you can get all your computers. That's why we gave them the 30. And we'll talk about the laptops if we have extra money. When we went to see the selectmen, they're not opposed to it. If we have 22,000 that we can spend, they're kind of like pointing us in the direction that they'd like to do that, and we could do that out of those funds. But the computers at the station is covered under that increase when you made it 23 to 30. That was what that was for, not to do with the tough book. That would only buy us 1 laptop. We weren't talking about that. We could always refer to the minutes too if we had to. But that's what it was. We gave them the 30, we gave them those computers at the station.
You got me confused, that's all.
Yeah.
Well, we'll check them. We still have to
We have
get
to.
them anyway.
I have a question.
Yeah.
What did the budget committee approve the other night for computers?
They didn't. We left it open so that we could come back to them and make an analysis of how much we got left over, what can we do, and what can you do with this, okay? We presented 30,000 to the selectmen, and we approved 30,000 as a board. So the commission approved 30, the selectmen were okay with it, but they didn't make a final vote, and the budget committee seemed good with it, but we told them, hold off on that.
You guys,
I'll
you guys okay if I kind of throw an alternative
Yeah.
idea?
Yeah,
I know this, it sounded like.
confuse us?
Yeah, right, it sounded like the budget committee's looking to keep everything level funded. And that's what our goal was as well, not
Yeah.
to increase the tax rate. The selectmen were pretty adamant about if we had the surplus funds, they'd rather have us spend that than increase the taxes. Which I think is probably the better plan.
I agree with that.
So I'm thinking, if we got the 9 computers for the 7 and 2 direct data terminals for 10, that's 17, we could pay that surplus this year and still keep our computer line would actually still be reduced from 23.5, which it was in 2017, to 21.5 in 2018. So it would actually go down, but we would be using the surplus funds that we had to buy that stuff. But it's hardware we would have to buy anyway, and a lot of times if that's a surplus, it's gonna go to the general fund, that's just used to buy hardware stuff anyway. And this would all have to be approved by the selectmen, so they would have the ones that would have final say, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Plain,
I'm trying to keep it,
yeah, well, because I just thought that the increase I made was so we wouldn't have to go in, and if we are, I would just we go back to around where we were.
right,
And that's what you're proposing, that works fine for me.
right. And we've kind of, some of our maintenance stuff, I know you can go, okay, say we had a bunch of money, you wanna go out and buy 8 computers or 8 portables or 8 radios. The problem with that is they all age out at the same time. So you don't wanna go get 8 computers, and then 5 years from now, you get 8 more.
Yeah.
You get 2, then 2, then 2, then 2, and they just keep rotating through. When you buy us 2 new ones,
Yeah.
you know, you just take out the 2 oldest ones out of service. And that's what we've been doing with the radios and the cars and the portables, and it's really
Yeah.
been working pretty good.
That works.
You know, so that's what, I don't know, I'm just kinda throwing that idea
I
out
like
there.
that.
Yeah.
Nice,
All right,
very
so,
simple.
so that means that the line would come back down to 23 where it was originally. And you're saying the 9 computers at the station, which is about $8 grand,
Yeah,
and maybe 2.
But we would go to the
1
selectmen and ask them to approve
Yeah,
that, and that would be.
Yeah,
That works.
okay.
I'm
So,
happy with that.
we good with that now? Are we still in time to make our final decision at our next police commission meeting, or should we take a vote on this line now, Bill? What would be your suggestion? What would be your
I think we
suggestion?
should, well, we've only got that one line.
Computer.
Yeah.
Right, just go.
So
with
what was
20.
your figure, 23, whatever it was?
It's 21,513.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mike.
Yeah,
Yeah, Mike.
what's the total number for the computers at the stations and the ones in the cruises?
The ones in the cruisers are about 52, 5,300.
Yeah, well, we have 8 cruises, right? What's
Eight.
the whole number for all the computers?
Well, 8
Usually
times
around
53,
40,
about
50,000, right?
52, 53,000 for the cruisers,
Yeah.
and about 8 grand for the station.
Okay, well, I was just confused, because you're talking 23 and 30.
Yeah, well, one.
In my head, you got almost $50,000 worth of computers.
There is, that's what we do at $50,000.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, over 50,
Don't
really.
confuse us with.
Well, now I'm totally confused, which is good.
Okay, yeah. So, Bill, should we make a motion today to get this budget stuff finalized today, so that we can go back to the budget committee?
Yes.
If you're comfortable, I
Okay.
think you should.
So what was your figure on that budget line?
Yeah.
Do you have that?
Yeah.
It was 23.
21,513.91.
Is that what it was?
So that's what was
Believe it or
expected.
not.
I thought it
No,
was
it
the
wasn't.
second page.
Oh, wait,
No,
what is
no, no.
3,000? Oh, all right,
No, no.
23,500.
Yeah, okay, that's what I thought.
And what do we want to move?
You
it to?
want it to be 23-1, oh,
23-1.
yeah.
So moved.
23-138 was
So
what you.
moved.
Yeah, 23,100.
23-1. Move, second, all in favor? Aye. Okay, so that line is 23-1.
No pennies, please.
Okay, that's good. That's good, 23-1, and then we'll work on the overage and see what you got on the budget.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else?
No.
Okay. You had enough computers? Okay. All right, let's do an employee evaluation and we'll move on.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah, I have a personal review for Officer Dan Goonan, and a motion based on his satisfactory reviews that he be granted his step increase. He's currently at labor grade 11, step 11, and he will go to labor grade 11, step 12.
I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, any questions before we adjourn? All right, nothing? Okay, so I'll entertain a motion to adjourn at 7:23.
So moved.
Okay,
Second?
all right, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, folks. You gotta be confused.